Past 7 o'clock here in Nigeria. Welcome to the program. This 22nd day of May 2025. I'm Sean Wakimalo here in Abuja. Tonight, let's begin by letting you know that the Natasha Akpoti saga doesn't seem to abate at all. There's a litany of lawsuits now in the different courtrooms across the country over the controversies between these two senators. One has been suspended and one is the presiding officer of the National Assembly. Today, it emerged that the federal government has instituted a lawsuit against the senator representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti over alleged defamatory remarks made on live television. The suit filed before the Federal Capital Territorial High Court on the 16th of May 2025 as Akpoti as a sole defendant. And the government accused the senator of, quote, making imputation, knowing or having reason to believe that such imputation will harm the reputation of a person, and of course, citing Section 391 of the Penal Code, Cap 89, laws of the Federation 1990. The offense is punishable under Section 392 of the same law. The list of witnesses show that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, and former governor of Kogi, Yaya Bello, will testify during the trial. And one of the charges is linked to the allegations Senator Akpoti said she accused Senate President Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi State Governor Yaya Bello of plotting to assassinate her. It's interesting today what we saw at the APC National Summit here in Abuja. It was at the backyard of the president. And perhaps it may be the fears of the villa that made everyone to succumb and give the flag wholeheartedly and awesomely to the president to say, even though you've not finished your first term, go ahead and do the second term. What an interesting political event what we saw today. In the middle of the first term, the president is getting a second term endorsement. We'll be analyzing some of these issues that have been raised today and the reasons behind all of this. Does the president, in fact, deserve to end the first term, not to talk of going on to the second term? As far as the Nigerian people are concerned, if truly they were the ones who voted, their voices are supposed to be the ones to be heard. But you'll be hearing all of the analysis tonight on the program. But first, let's check out some of your political roundup stories. Critically,
President Bola Tinubu has submitted the 2025 appropriation bill for Rivers State to the National Assembly for consideration following the ongoing suspension of the State House of Assembly. In a letter addressed to the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the proposed budget totaled 1.481 trillion with major allocations aimed at revitalizing key sectors. The Senate has referred the bill to its ad hoc committee on emergency rule with instructions to review the proposal and report back to the chamber as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the Senate has resolved to hold consultations with the Ministers of Finance, Budget and National Planning and Water Resources and Sanitation over receiving balances in the allocation of the 380 billion naira renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund earmarked for irrigation development in the 2025 budget. The decision was reached during plenary following a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Senator Kenneth Aide. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, the national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, says the party will give more opportunities for women participation and opportunities in the elections. Mr. Abure stated this at an event in Abuja. According to Abure, the Labour Party has taken a lead in appointing women in political leadership positions, adding that the party has deliberately created opportunity for women to participate not just in the affairs of the party, but also have given them opportunity to run for offices. Lastly, some women in Rivers State have commended the ongoing peace process between suspended governors Milai Fubara and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, expressing optimism that it will bring an end to the crisis in the state. The women made this known during a prayer session at the Ecumenical Center in Port Harcourt earlier today as they implored President Tinubu to lift the suspension and return their governor and other elected officials to office.
It's perhaps your biggest story of the day here in Nigeria. Apart from how an African president went to the Oval Office and was hoodwinked, shown a video of what perhaps he did not prepare for by President Donald Trump, Those stories were a major conversation across the continent. But the Nigerian president here on Nigerian soil saw what perhaps would have shocked a lot of watchers, political analysts who thought that this time around it's supposed to be analysis and assessments of the midterm performance of the president and his government. So the All Progressives Congress, APC, the governors, the leaders of the party, leaders of the National Assembly have all endorsed President Bola Tinubu as the party's sole candidate. That in fact came from Godswill Akpabio, the Senate president, and his colleague in the National Assembly, where the 22 governors under the aegis of the Progressives Governors Forum announced their endorsement through their chairman, Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, and his deputy, the Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Obasani, at the National Summit held at the banquet hall of the State House in Abuja earlier today. Let me begin by showing you what happened at the moment when the APC governors gathered together through their chairman, Senator Uzodinma, who moved the motion for the president's adoption, while it was seconded by the forum's vice chairman, Governor of Kaduna State, Obasani.
We are satisfied with the midterm review and performance evaluation report of the reviewed Hope Agenda, that we are aware that the Nigerian nation is moving in the right direction economically, socially, and politically, and that we are convinced that under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Nigeria will get to her destination faster in prosperity. We acknowledge the resolution of these governors that the president should be used and be adopted as our flag bearer for 2027 presidential election for his second term in office.
I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, the governor of Imo State, His Excellency Hope Uzodinma, that this August gathering pass a vote of confidence on our able and amiable president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as the sole candidate of APC come 2027 general election. I so second.
So the message was that all of the governors of the APC should go back home and work for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu. Well, re-election the year. So you might be shocked. It's not happening next year. It's not happening upper year. It's going to happen in 2027. And they say they've adopted the president as the flag bearer of the party in 2027. Now, afterwards came the Senate president and leaders of the National Assembly. Godswill Akpabio, the leader of the Senate, spoke on behalf of his colleagues in the Senate. And he also gave the endorsement of himself and his colleagues in the APC in the Senate. And in fact, they were the ones who said the sole candidate and the flag bearer of the party. Take a listen to Godswill Akpabio.
Nigerians are saying that because you have done a difficult job well, that it is time for us to reward you by sending you back to the presidency for a second term in office. I move, therefore, as the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that Mr. President return, one, as a candidate of the APC unopposed, and secondly, as the next president for a second term come 2027. I so move.
On behalf of the whole entire 109 senators, 360 members, and all the 36 speakers and their members, to second this very important motion moved by the Senate President as was seconded.
After that, now came the big one, because all of these endowments will not hold water if the party does not give the candidate the ticket. So this is about the ticket, not a meal ticket. It's a ticket for the election. And coming from Umaru Abdullahi Ganduje, the governor, former governor of Kano State and the national chairman of the APC. And this is how he put it. He called it a brief remarks, but it's perhaps one of the longest after the president's at the summit today. Take a listen to Abdullahi Ganduje.
On behalf of the National Working Committee, the only recognized platform, I believe, legally, the only recognized platform to field a candidate in any to field a candidate in any election, I hereby affirm the various endorsements and declare President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the sole presidential candidate of APC.
It is a no contest in 2027 and the APC. Anybody who has ambition in that party should move to another party. That is what the party has said today. So you imagine, is it the national convention of the party? How does this hold water in any? It's a national summit. I'm looking at the legal consequences of what and the political consequences of what they have done today. But they call it a national summit and a midterm scorecard presentation. But here comes the Olodoide, according to the singer, the primary performer of the day, King Wasiu Aide Marshal, how he calls him popularly. When the president took to the podium, he said to Nigerians to be patient. He said, in fact, that the members of this party are the real people of Nigeria, and those who are on the other side should jump ship and come into the party. And when the president spoke about a possibility of a one-party state, this is how the president put it. Take a listen to him.
I just need to tell those ones saying one-party system is no good. It's one party ruling and driving the aspiration of Nigerians. Where do they start? You don't blame a people bailing out of a sinking ship when they have no life jacket. I'm glad of what we have, and I'm expecting more to come.
As President Bola Tinubu there, let's make sense of this. First and foremost, from the point of view of those who are close to the president, who listen to him, who work with him, who speak with him every day. Let's get a sense of what exactly is going on in the villa. There are those who are saying whatever has gone on today is a clear case that all is not well in the villa and in the APC for whatever that has been displayed today. Daniel Bwala is a lawyer and one of the spokespersons of President Bola Tinubu is live for us here in our studio. Thanks so much, Mr. Bwala, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
What happened? Why the endorsements?
Yeah, what happened today is beauty to behold. It is a tapestry of organization. Yeah, it goes to show that APC as a progressive party is a party that is living to its creed. The problem we used to have before now is that political party come, they win election, and they don't sit down to assess and reassess their performance. I'm sure you are aware of performance indicators that the president set for the ministers. This midterm is a performance assessment on the president himself. So to submit yourself to that performance assessment, to a large extent, go to show how development-driven the president is. And it is the event of today didn't start today, actually. Before now, people were asked to review our promises, our manifestos to the Nigerian people, vis-a-vis our performance so far, and see whether the president has performed to a point where he will deserve, first from the party, the second term. What happened today is a party affair, and that's why it is perfectly normal. You have to be able to decide within the party a direction, and then you can come out to the Nigerian people and say, this is what we think. So it is an expression of organization, beauty, and the fact of what the president has achieved that gave the impetus to the members to say we're giving him that opportunity is obvious to everyone in Nigeria.
Let me ask you a quick question, Mr. Boala.
Right.
As a Nigerian, as a Christian,
yeah,
and I want you to be truthful.
Yeah.
As the president delivered.
So the word delivered means he has concluded the first term. There are quite a number of things yet. He will be the first person to tell you there are quite a number of things that are yet to be seen. But if you ask the question, has the president performed? Then my answer would be a very big capital yes. And where am I coming from? Because before, when the president took the oath of office, as a journalist, you are aware that the situation and the economy, the revenue and everything around Nigeria was quite tight. People were buying naira with naira. You know that 27 states of the federation were not paying salaries because of no income. You know in this FCT where you live, there were prison breaks all over Nigeria. You also know that at the time, when this Boko Haram Abi insurgent killed our soldiers around Buhari, they said they were even coming to the villa. All of these things are quite obvious. And you also know that we had a debt. You also know we didn't have much revenue. Now, between that time and today, we came and saw foreign reserve 33 billion. We have 41 billion. We have paid our legacy debt. We were not the ones talking. The World Bank came and told you. The World Bank said we have been able to put the economy of the country on a modest progress.
The IMF talked about debt.
The IMF.
The World Bank talked, yeah.
Yes,
right.
They talk about modest progress. And then the states of the federation that couldn't pay salaries. Now, they are not only paying salaries, most of them are meeting up to the minimum wage. They are doing projects, and some of them have even paid their debt. All of this happened because of increased revenue. And that's one of the visions of the president.
First and foremost, before I became a journalist, I'm a Nigerian.
Correct.
I'm human.
Correct.
Do you think for a moment that this is a slap on the faces of those of Nigerians, the right-thinking Nigerians who think, yes, we will be stupid at this time to think that Bola Tinubu and his government have done nothing? But have we gotten to the point where the president will be passed for primary 2 to primary 6 and say he deserves to go to the secondary school even when he has not finished primary 2?
Yes.
Does that make sense to any right-thinking person if your party has not played on the intelligence of the Nigerian people?
So this is
by this activity today.
So there's a misconception by anybody who wants to see what transpired today as our engagement with Nigerians. It was a party affair. Party affair, at any given time, you can pass vote of confidence or say no. Party must do self-introspection. Party must do...
So Nigerians should ignore?
No, not about ignoring. So what I'm saying is, what happened today is not in any way beating on the sensibility of Nigeria or suggesting to Nigerians that the president has done everything. But what happened today, it is our own internal examination before we bring the external examiners, which is the Nigerian people. And the internal examination of our party, you know, we have manifesto and we have things we wanted to do, ranging from nail phone, from infrastructure, from security, quite a number of things. And we know what the president has done so far. So we looked at the two, and we arrived at the conclusion that given what he saw, what he has done, and only in 2 years,
you don't think that this is playing to the gallery?
No, not at all.
If you are, let's assume someone is so brilliant and so performs so well, he gets a double promotion.
Right.
Not graduate out of high school and taken straight to college from going from primary school straight to university.
Yeah.
That is not what Nigerians. Do you think this is what Nigerians really expect?
So you talked about double promotion. Promotion is done at the end of the day when you write the exams, right? If you are planning to write WAEC, for students who wrote WAEC, before the WAEC, they used to have some mini exams to prepare them for the WAEC. That's what happened.
So today. APC said the exam. APC passed the candidate. APC is the examiner. APC is the one giving the result. APC is the one promoting the candidate. That is what has happened today.
As far as the issue of today is concerned, we have been getting feedback from Nigerians. But what we did was to focus on ourselves first. Are we satisfied that the president has achieved to a point where we'll give him his endorsement? We have every constitutional right. In fact, what I thought you would be doing is to be celebrating us, because before now, political party come, win election, they stay another 4 years, they come back to Nigerians. They don't do this summit where we assess ourselves. And like I told you, it's not an event that happened today.
So Mr., if you want to, so you've touched a very corner of me. So when you said I should be celebrating, so a summit, and I will applaud your party that you are even thinking of doing anything in terms of assessment. But I imagine that assessment should have been also debated amongst yourselves.
Yes.
But this was people just coming, leaders of the party saying, President, you are the best. President, you are, after you, there's nobody. Our party is the greatest. There is everybody coming to our... And imagine, those who are attacked in the north, those who cannot pay fees,
correct,
will be wondering, are these guys living in the real Nigeria or what?
So those the people
Isn't
you
that
find...
going to be the highest place of sycophancy politically?
Not
speaking?
really, because the people who you are referring to are not members of our party. They understand that what happened today is the activities of our party. They can understand that what we are doing is assessing ourselves, gauging ourselves, and say whether the candidate that is currently sitting on the seat, we want him to still go. So that if the president has not performed, then it is from today we will decide the party will begin the process that will lead up to an open primaries where everybody will go and contest.
I imagine that since Nigerian people voted the president,
right,
you should commit the Nigerian, the performance of the president to the judgment of the Nigerian people.
Correct. Correct. So there are two things to it. One, we have been all over Nigeria getting feedback from Nigerians. The performance indicators set out by the president for the ministers, we have citizen engagement. And we've been getting the feedback. We know that for a fact. But we also know our limit as a party, that the time for campaign has not come. The time when parties will begin political activities, when you start dating, courting the Nigerian people, that time has not come.
Okay, so let's get into it. And one area that I would love you are in charge of policy. And so you have all of the facts, you have all of the data, you have all of that. And you speak, you have been given the duty to speak directly to the heart of what the president stands for in this government, which is policy and its performance. And I'd like to begin on the issue of the economy.
Correct.
Have we turned the curve to say our economy is stabilized? And Nigerians are watching tonight. Look, you will be out of office, President Bola Tinubu will be out of office, but what will not be forgotten is the role everyone played in the history of this country, whether they are truthful to the Nigerian people. I will be the first to applaud the government or the president if you achieve the best. There are policies that we have applauded right on this program.
Right.
But in your own sense, do you think you have turned the curve?
The economy is out of the intensive care unit. The economy is at the recovery room in the hospital. So the economy is still in the hospital. We admit of that. But coming out of the intensive care unit to the recovery, if you ask medical practitioners, they will tell you it is not moi. It is a very big milestone that you are at a point when you can die, to a point where fundamentals of what would have caused for your death has been dealt with. But now you need to recover from the basics. And if you look at our economy, because we are settling debt, because we have foreign reserve, because we have also established key baseline for the growth of the economy, we can beat our chest and say the economy is stable. We are entering the stage where the effect of the economy will hit the Nigerian people in its proper form. And we are not in any way suggesting it hasn't done that, because I told you, when you look at it, Mr. Sheun, this administration of President Bola Tinubu, he said, during my time, there will be no ASU strike. He ensured that the needs of ASU people were given. And there so far has not been any strike by ASU in Nigeria. This president led and spearheaded the increase of minimum wage to the Nigerian people. This president ensured that our youth corpers get as much as 77,000 in a month. This president ensured that the critical areas of the economy, the private sector, are given access to equal opportunity to thrive. This president, at the same time, ensured that while we're carrying out this reform, there are interventions. Interventions are to meet with the indigent members of the society. So, for example, the NEL Fund. Close to 300,000 students in Nigeria are beneficiaries of the NEL Fund to fund their studies. What about the rice program that is all over Nigeria? Look at the agriculture. And then look at the credit scheme that has been established so that we curb corruption. Civil servants don't have to steal money to buy cars.
Let's just stay with the economy, Dr. Buala.
Right.
The parity of the naira to the dollar.
Look at the stability of that period.
What did you? Well, in terms of stability, yes, we have achieved that stability. It's not gone as high as it is undulating a few times.
But within a reasonable margin that is understood and appreciated by the basics of economics.
But the fact, on that note, in terms of parity, what your government met on the ground and what is on the ground is far cry.
It can never be the same. Why? Because when that $1 to the naira used to be 170, it's because there is a dollar somewhere that was subsidizing for it. And that dollar subsidizing for it at some point wasn't even going to the purpose it was intended for. It was going into the pocket of people.
You look at
you have reported it as a journalist.
There are other indices. Food inflation, which is the core, that is inflicting pain on all other metrics of the economy, is still very high.
But what was the latest report? The latest report of the inflation
is improving. The question is that how much of improvement have we seen?
And this is where
your government brought that problem.
No, it's not a problem. Your government saved Nigeria from decadence. It's a reverse psychology you're playing. Our government, because you can imagine for a moment, when the president came, he continued with the status quo. Where will he get the money to subsidize for the dollar, subsidize for the fuel? Where will he get the money to support state to pay salary? Where will he get the money to invest in those infrastructure, hospitals, students, and the rest? Where? Nowhere. You can fast, you can pray, it will never come. He thought to himself, we need to generate revenue. How can the future of our children and our children be engaged? So he came up with this idea. Even the tax, wait for a moment, give us the next 12 months and see what our tax reform will bring to Nigeria in terms of increased revenue. Do you know the revenue we are generating? So we should be clapping like this to the president. Because, you see, that decision the president took, I beat my chest to tell you from 1999 till date, every president that came was, I won't use the word afraid, but ran away from taking that decision. And every president discussed that. Obasanjo discussed it. He said they would do it in phases. He left it. Yar'Adua came. Jonathan came. Buhari came. In fact, at a point, Buhari was going to do it immediately. Before people advised them otherwise. President Bola Tinubu came and said, oh no, I'm a consequential president too. We can't sell the future of our children. All of us as a family must realize we don't have income. We've been living a fake life. And right now we are in danger. So let's take the decision. But he prepared our minds. He said it will be tough. The president didn't fool anybody.
So now the big question here is that, the president came, made some decisions that caused the trouble, and he's trying to,
and there's relief now.
Maybe you are feeling it. You are in Babariga.
You are not feeling the relief?
You are in Babariga.
Let me ask you, are you feeling the relief or not?
I can't talk about relief. I'm not an average person. I'm a journalist.
Oh, I'm glad you are
in my own in my own class. I can't compare. I won't class myself with the millions of Nigerians who are facing the suffering there. I have a stable job right here. Right. I cannot classify myself. My job is a high-end job. As far as my class in this job is concerned. But I cannot, just remember, I can't class myself with those. If you say Nigerians are feeling the relief, who are those who are feeling the relief?
You see, the suffering.
The food, price of food, the issue of inflation, how much of relief as Nigerian people?
So let me give you this. Let me tell you a graphic example of how the relief is done now. The food prices went up because we were no longer paying subsidy and there was cyclical effect in the value chain. But then we have bad roads. So we now invest in roads, construction and infrastructure so that there will be ease of business, and trade. And this investment in road created jobs, and it has also its own cyclical effect. We also invest in healthcare, thereby creating opportunity for our people to not have to travel, but they will take care of their basic need. We look at education, and we now invested in education. So the same poor man that has now felt bad because of that decision, his situation became precarious. Now the impact of those decisions we have taken is coming back to him. But you see, when we talk about plan, there is an immediate, there is a midterm, and a long term. I told you about the immediate. Now take for a moment, and the best way for you to understand how the common man is positively impacted by President Bola Tinubu's administration. What constitutes the corporate entity in Nigeria is the states of the federation, because the federal government is just small. These poor people you are referring to, they are in our local government, they are in our villages, they are in our towns, isn't it? The president introduced local government autonomy that push enormous resources to the local government so that when deployed judiciously, Dr. Shehu, when it is deployed judiciously, it will take care of insecurity, it will bring about commercial activities in that local level, it is going to provide healthcare services to the people, and it is going to deal with the root cause of insecurity, which is poverty, lack of education, and the rest. Is the poor man not directly impacted by that? So, and this is when we are doing reform. I have never seen anywhere in the world where a reform is carried out and it doesn't come with inconveniences.
Yeah. So, Dr. Biola, to wrap up the conversation,
right.
And I can mention a few, which I think your government can borrow you a few things, which is also part of our role, to be able to let the Nigerian people know how they can benefit from the effort and the policy of government. The free cesarean section that government gives to the Nigerian people, that is applaudable. I mean, that is an initiative that makes a lot of sense. Thousands of people die. Hundreds of people who do not know that that is available, they die. And this government put that in place. It's affordable. You talk about the NEL fund. You talk about the NEL fund and the students who are getting those. Although there are some people who are now going in the institutions who are going back. That is applaudable. You talk about the revenue, the increase in revenue. States are getting it. That's applaudable.
Standardization of the airport, improvement of roads.
Is it commonsensical to think that to have a headway in a Nigeria that has been bereft of good leadership, that corruption has almost killed the nation, that you have a leader that will take a hard decision? Yes, it's right thinking to think that a leader will come and take the hard decision. But the question here is the event of today. That are you not rubbishing the sensibility of the average person by rejoicing and celebrating what has not fully come round in a second year of a 4-year term?
And that's what I say.
That is the question. And the answer, is your party panicking? Is there desperation in your party? Is all well within your party?
All is well. Can you see me? Do I look like all is not well?
You're not the average man in your party.
Have you ever seen me with Agbada before? So you see, let me tell you, Mr. Sean, I said it and it bears repeating. What we had today is internal mock. We know the WAEC is yet to come. We know the exam is yet to come. In fact, why we call it a national summit of our party and we didn't throw it to the general Nigerian people is because we respect the sensibility of the people. So we don't want to go to them yet. It is not even time to go to them. And in terms of communicating, what we're doing is what we do every time. On an average, 5 times every week, I'm in all platforms.
The question is, you people are celebrating Christmas in June. Why not wait for things to come around before celebrating? Okay. Because you are in the process of delivering. Yeah. You have not delivered. You have not performed. Then so you are celebrating.
Yes, we have not performed to you.
Your opposition does not agree.
But
you are part of Nigeria.
I explained to you.
I highlighted some of the effort that have been made. But is it not too early to be jubilating when you have not come around in the delivery of the promises?
And I said it's because it's an internal affairs of the party. If we had called the nation, and we're doing that, yes,
it's on national television.
Yes, but it's for our party. And the reason we wanted it being on national television, for people to see transparency. And we want all other parties to copy. That at every given time a party is in government, you must do midterm assessment. The president must be examined by the party.
Well, the opposition does not think that your party has done well for Nigeria.
How can they know when they have eyes they can't see?
Erufai is saying already they will send President Bola Tinubu back to Lagos in 2027.
From where? Where is he? Where is his party?
Are you aware that they're planning SDP, ADC, and all of these parties?
People, they are trying to bring penicillin and penicillin. Let me tell you, this opposition, very sadly, in my recent memory, is the worst that has ever happened to Nigeria. Don't forget, Shehu, let me even use this opportunity and also praise myself. When the president became president, after the election was over, I was single-handedly in the opposition, right? When I made a decision and I came over to President Bola Tinubu and I came back to my party, the floodgate opened and they were joining us. So I am Moses in this journey. And the reason is simple. President Bola Tinubu is delivering on the promise. He's not perfect.
It's for Nigerian people to judge. Your party is supposed to be in the farm working for the Nigerian people.
But congratulate us for the event of today, please.
I won't, because...
So you are now in the opposition?
No, I'm a media person.
Congratulate me for wearing a bada.
That's going to be a personal conversation afterwards. But right here, I think you should subject yourselves to the assessment of the Nigerian people.
We will do that when the time comes.
People judge.
We will when the time comes.
Dr. Daniel Boala, the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu, a spokesperson on policy. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you as always.
I wish your party well. And Nigerian people well.
Thank you for the congratulations. I'm happy.
That's not a congratulatory message. We take a break, everyone. But when we return, we'll be hearing from the spokesperson of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Paul Aide will be joining us. He's one speaking about the decision of Vice President Atiku Abubakar in the whole defection and the alliance and the call for the opposition to stand as one. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Join us again. So, a lot of stories all over the place in respect of the political activities, the meetings that we're seeing. So, we heard the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and former Governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai reportedly have adopted the African Democratic Congress, APC, as the official platform for a new opposition coalition. The story says that the three of them reached the decision after a high-level meeting held earlier in the week, which would signal that there's a formal emergence of the long-anticipated political alliance. That story is not yet confirmed. We'll probably confirm it tonight. Whether or not they have adopted ADC, well, we do know that officially Mr. El-Rufai said he has moved to the SDP. All of these defections, how does it affect the polity? Plus, what happened today? Let's listen and hear from the spokesperson of the former vice president and the presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 election, Mr. Paul Ibo. We call him Mazi. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. First and foremost, what is your own assessment of the event of today? You are speaking for the leader of the opposition in Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar.
Sure. If my uncle, God forbid, passes on today, and then there is a wedding of maybe a cousin that has been fixed, that wedding will not take place. You need to bury the dead first before you celebrate. So it's unfortunate that, like you put it, the APC is having a Christmas, in June. It's unfortunate and clearly shows, like I've said repeatedly, that they're not cut out for governance. It's all about politics. Yes, it's good to do an assessment, but why do you have to have an Owambe? Have a party to beat your chest. There are plenty, only in the books, not in the bands. Just a reminder of Animal Farm, 1984. And I believe that this administration takes from the playbook of those pigs who told us in Animal Farm that 4 legs were good, 2 legs better.
So today was a sham as far as you're concerned?
It was, clearly.
But this is something that you, opposition, have not been able to organize yourself to do. The ruling party came together and organized a summit. Isn't that some kind of credence to how better organized they are?
When you talk about you, opposition, you have forgotten that some of the elements of the APC are now, PDP, rogue elements that have been captured. I speak about someone like Minister Nyesom Wike. So what do you expect?
Interestingly, he wasn't at that event today. So that means he's still a solid member of your party.
Maybe he's in London preparing for I hope they're having another round of Owambe in London to, advertise, to celebrate, the achievements.
Do you think there is anything worth celebrating?
What is there, Sheung? Look at the state of insecurity. I mean, Zulum had to go to Mate, which appears to be the ground, zero of the insecurity, attacks, in Borno State. The governor has said it repeatedly, and he said it. Was it yesterday or so? Territories have been captured, even in areas where the former president had been able to, achieve some results. The traditional ruler in Borno, the Shewa of Borno, has also spoken about that. So insecurity is rife. Look at the killings in Benue and in Plateau. While the president was, in France, having a good time at the expense of us, the citizens.
In the last 24 months, Mr. Ide, you don't think there is any kind of traction, truthfully, either opposition or ruling party or any kind of spirit that any Nigeria has in them? Can we say that there is some level of traction that we have seen in this government and its activities based on the promises they made?
The only thing that they have done very well is to create a conditioned precedent for opposition politicians to defect to the APC. And now it is interesting what is going on. And a lot of people don't know that it's something sinister that is going on, with the anti-corruption agencies.
Oh, it's linked to it?
Oh, yes.
The defection that we see?
That's correct.
Which one?
The previous ones and all the other ones that are ongoing. Let me tell you, I know of a lawmaker. I also know of a lawyer who is holding brief for this lawmaker. And they are shaking him down. The objective is to ensure that by the time they show him the results of his corruption, they will open the doors to the ruling party and tell him to go in and sin no more. That was the same scenario with a former governor in a South state. And the current governor of that state that defected. That is the same scenario with another governor in the South who is also threatening to leave the opposition party to the APC. 48 hours before the defections of the ones that I just referenced, the EFCC chairman and the Solicitor General of the Federation allegedly met with these individuals at their government lodge. The question is, what was an individual who saddled with the task of anti-corruption, of ensuring that the resources, the monies of Nigerians, the common things that are gone into private, pockets.
But those, those allegations you have laid, there's no way for you to verify them.
I'm a journalist on sabbatical.
So maybe your tools are still at home. You may not have your facts right.
So I'm telling you, and I use the word, consciously, allegedly. Listen.
So you're drawing the defection. Is it painful to you and your principal that the man who flagged him to that election abandoned him? Isn't that a slap on the leadership of Waziri Atiku Abubakar? That Danifan Yokowa left him and defected.
Everybody will account for themselves. Everybody. His Excellency Atiku Abubakar had no regrets. As at the time he chose the individual, there were things, and he cleared the boxes. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's every man to himself. Everybody has to be accountable, for what they have done. What I'm speaking to is something that has ramifications, to our democracy and the fight against corruption.
So, if I may get you right, you are inferring, and I don't like people talking in parables here, you're inferring that the only reasons why people are moving into the APC is because they are linked to corruption. And I'm not sure everybody fits that bill. And it's going to be unfair if you paint everybody with the same brush. And you are inferring that they are hounding opposition to drag them into their party.
It's called shaking down. They are shaking them down. It's unprecedented. It has ever happened. But in our political history,
but the story,
when you use the anti-corruption instrument,
but the story is
as a political tool.
Mazi, the story is that your principal is also leaving the PDP.
I don't know.
So is it being shaken down to
PDP? He has said it. My principal is in a position. He has said it. I wasn't leaving the PDP, and you have to, you have to respect what he has said. You don't. I don't need to come here to, to speak. But it is an issue that he has spoken on.
Has he adopted the ADC alongside himself and his friends?
Well, you and I know that there have been ongoing, it's there in the public domain. There have been ongoing discussion, between, Atiku Abubakar and, some opposition leaders, Peter Obi, Nasir Rufai. Yes, it's out there in the open. Discussion is still ongoing. And at the end of that discussion, they will come out with a position and the direction that we're going to follow, based on the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians.
Can we see a repeat of the 2029 ticket design, Atiku, Peter Obi? Is it possible? Is that in the offing?
That ticket was very viable, and a lot of people, have alluded to the fact that they never lost that election.
Well, what now happened?
Are you telling me what? Are you a stranger to?
No, because it's either you win or you lose an election.
Well, you can lose an election and that election was rigged. What I'm saying, in effect, is that ticket was viable in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Mm-hmm. And it's still viable to today. But it is left to the individuals to be able to come to a determination as to how they proceed. And so let us not go ahead of.
But they are talking.
They are talking.
Peter Obi and Atiku are talking.
They are talking. And much more. They are talking.
Give us an understanding of how this hits Atiku Abubakar, the Ifeanyi Okowa defection.
No, let us not overflog, the issue. The former governor of Delta State is still alive by the mercy and grace of God. He's the one that can.
Did he tell Atiku that he was leaving?
I wouldn't know about that.
The reason why I'm saying that is, Mr. Aide.
Yes, what I'm telling you is this.
If your wife changes faith,
yes,
and I know, I don't know whether you're Catholic or something, but if your wife changes faith, as an adult, she has the right to do so. That's or right. Would you be disappointed?
Well, when you're married, you become one.
So you imagine that you will go on that journey together. So if she changes faith, will you be disappointed?
That wasn't what Atiku
and
wasn't a marriage.
Atiku and Israel was a marriage. They were on the same ticket. Their political destiny were tied on that ticket. It was a marriage. They came together. What is marriage? Coming together.
No, if they at that stage it was
they were legally bound.
Dating. If they had won an election, then you can say it would have become a marriage then. So at that point it was dating. That was what it was. But they had not gotten the mandate of Nigeria.
But do you see it as a betrayal?
Listen, you speak to the man who did what
I'm asking you because I'm trying to get the Atiku side of the story.
What I'm telling you, Shehu, and it's up to them to to discredit what I've said. What I'm saying is that the anti-corruption fight, the anti-corruption infrastructure is being used to kidnap politicians and political leaders. And then they eventually get to pay political ransom, which is the defection to the APC.
I had an interview, exclusive one, with the chairman of the EFCC who said he has a reputation. He will never do such a thing. And that the EFCC has been doing its job, and members of the ruling party have been called to come and account for sitting governors in the APC. Former governors of the APC have been investigated. And so, accusation that EFCC is being used for political reason, he has dismissed it.
You see, there is nothing that this administration, the Tinubu administration, will not do with an eye on 2027. Look at, we're talking about even the data from the Bureau of Statistics, Bismarck Rwanda. I said that those figures, data may have been sexed up.
So the allegation is that the APC is cooking the books.
Who is the gentleman there who is running the ABS? Who appointed him? Who is he serving? Is he still not serving this administration? Listen, for political consideration, they're ready to do anything. And the only thing that they are not doing is governance, ensuring that the lives of Nigerians are protected, ensuring that their welfare is paramount. You talked about food inflation. Look, can anybody survive in these, difficult times that people are living in? Look at the cost of doing business. Look at the cost of running this place, on if it is not a generator economy that we still have. When the villa would be more, more interested in allocating 20 billion to itself for solar. What does that tell you? It tells you that the idea of you having regular power supply, forget it. While they are trying to ban, solar panels that we don't have the capacity to produce enough.
Those who are doing the permutation, they say, look, with the way things are going, there is going to be a smooth ride for Bola Tinubu in 2027. What do you make of that?
I wish them luck. You just wait. Just a little while. The fireworks will start.
Really?
It will be between Nigerians versus Tinubu and his APC.
But if the performance of this government convinces the Nigerian people?
It's the bride that brings forth the other. What performance? Well, in the 2 years, half decent, and they are scoring themselves 100%. Is that not foolhardiness?
How would you say this government has fared? Failed? Performed?
They were never prepared for governance. Really. Look at the first fumble was the oil subsidy. Yes, we've been saying that everybody said they were going to reduce oil subsidy. They didn't have a cabinet. It was dropped flippantly. And all of the problems that I've been having, I said it here to date, revolves around there. There needs to be a plan. There needs to be a strategy.
Sure.
There was none in place.
Paul Aide is the director of the media office of Atiku Abubakar and the spokesperson of the former vice president. Thank you so much indeed, Mazi Paul Aide.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate it. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Wakimale. God bless Nigeria.